going on, Merc fam? In today's review, we're going to be talking about a brand new movie released in theaters called Wrath of Man, starring Jason Statham and directed by none other than Guy Ritchie. Alright, now before we get into that, I want to make sure that everybody likes, subscribes, and go ahead tap that notification bell one time for your boy. I just want to make sure that everything I post, you are aware of, alright? Now, without further ado, let's jump into this Wrath of Man review. So for those of you who may not know exactly who Guy Ritchie is and the hype behind his name in this movie, he is a director slash writer and producer who's done things like Aladdin, The Gentleman, Sherlock Holmes. Just to put it all out there, this guy has a tremendous eye for movies. If you have not seen a Guy Ritchie film before, he does things a little bit unorthodox, but you know that it's one of his movies when you watch them. One way for sure to know you're watching a Guy Ritchie movie is that they're shot out of sequence. So you might be starting the movie, but it's 5 weeks in the future, but then mid-movie it's in the past, and then at the end it's the beginning. That is a good piece of information to know when going into this movie, because that is exactly what this movie stands on: out of sequence storytelling. One thing that's really cool about Jason Statham is that he plays the exact same character in every movie. Very cold-hearted, very calculated, and he always likes to reiterate what somebody said with a little more pizzazz. For example, in this movie, Post Malone, he has a nice little pop-up. He does a really cool job. He's in the movie for like maybe 3 minutes, but as Jason Statham runs up on him and puts the gun on him and tells him, "Yo, who's your boss?" he says, "Yo, suck my dick." And Jason Statham looks at him and says, "Suck your own dick." Bow, and shoots his ass. I know you guys have seen The Meg, where it's that humongous shark, and when he actually sees the shark, he tells them, "It's a megalodon." It's just so funny that this nigga always does the same shit in every film. He did an absolutely great job in this one, and his supporting cast did a great job as well. For most of the movie, I was having a back and forth conversation in my head trying to figure out who's who and what's going on, because like I said, Guy Ritchie movies are played out of sequence. So the person who might be telling the story is someone you watch die in the very beginning, but the story leads to that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is like his niche. So if you find yourself watching this movie and you're a little confused, don't worry. It will all make sense later. The premise of this movie really stands behind a big heist and what goes wrong during a robbery. If you've seen my trailer review, you already know that he's trying to get revenge for the murder of his son. And no, that is not a spoiler. That sentiment is expressed in the trailer that I'm sure you all have seen. But when I tell you this movie does an absolutely great job of throwing you off the entire film, I mean, it really does. See, when I watched this movie, I knew that I wasn't gonna spoil the whole thing for you guys, because it is something that everyone needs to watch. Now, it is a tad bit long, and I'm not gonna give that any kind of negative points because it was worth it for me. Now, someone who doesn't really like a crime thriller or something kind of unfolding and you're being a part of it, you kind of want some answers, this movie may not be for you. But if you like that intuitive plot that actually puts you in the movie, this one is the one you need to watch this weekend. During the movie, there were a few moments where I was a little confused. I mean, there's almost like 2 stories that are going on, and because everything is kind of jumbled up, it's a little bit hard to figure it out while you're watching it. But in a Guy Ritchie movie, you have to stick through the entire movie so that you can have all of your questions answered. This movie was a bit of a cliche in the sense of we've seen these heist type movies in the past, but what I really enjoyed was its absolute lack of humor. I don't think there was a single joke cracked in this entire film. It had a very serious and dark tone, and Jason Statham actually did a really good job being this real cryptic, silent, cold-hearted killer. There is one sentiment that I wanted to share with you all, because a lot of people say, "Oh, if someone killed my son, I would do this, this, and that. If someone killed my child, I would go above and beyond." But in real life, you really can't do shit, all right? Like, if someone kills your son, you're either gonna kill them and go to jail, or you're gonna watch them go to prison. But at the end of the day, no one really avenges their child's death unless it's in a movie or stuff that we don't hear on the news. But what Jason Statham's character H did in this movie to avenge his son's death was absolutely phenomenal. Maybe in real life, I wouldn't do these type of things, but I would like to imagine that if I was trying to avenge my son's murder, I would definitely go the Jason Statham route. There was one character besides Jason that I really liked, okay? It was one of his right-hand men. It was kind of like one of his top henchman. He had the white hair and the white beard. This guy was an absolute badass, and the things that he did for his boss H was totally insane. So again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but this movie you guys absolutely have to watch. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give Wrath of Man an 8 out of 10. Not only because I absolutely love Jason Statham and Guy Ritchie did a fantastic job, but the plot and story had me reeled in from the beginning. Or was it the end? You know these Guy Ritchie movies are a bit unorthodox. Like I said, it was very much out of sequence, but the action was on point. The story was told magnificently, and I absolutely love this movie, and I will recommend it to you all to watch. But what did you think about this review? Have you watched the movie? Did you hate it? Did you like it? Did you love it? Only way that I'm gonna know is if you guys jump into my comments and let me know, did you think Jason Statham played a different character than most times, or was he actually the same guy that he always plays, man? All of the reviews for this movie have been exponentially fantastic. But before we go, I want to send a special thanks to everybody that's been liking and subscribing and commenting. I've had a couple people reach out to me across my internet platforms like Instagram or Twitter and Facebook, and I appreciate all the love. I just want to make sure that everybody stays tuned. We are trucking to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm telling you, we're growing every single day. All right, Merc fam? But until next time, folks, it's been a pleasure. It's your boy Merc, but I'm out. When I take the wheel, it's going out of control. I ain't got a flex, but my money swole. I'm flying real life, nigga, not just pose. Hands down, I'm the man now. You better do your research before I air it out. I'm smoking on reefer and it's very loud.